Matter is constantly cycling through the atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and geosphere. Water and carbon tend to get all of the attention, but what about nitrogen? Nitrogen is essential to life. Both plants and animals need nitrogen to make proteins, which they use to make cells. And all living things are made of cells. So yeah, nitrogen, pretty important. But how does nitrogen get from the atmosphere to our cells and back again? Let's find out together in this episode all about the nitrogen cycle. Like I said earlier, nitrogen is essential to life, so it's good news that it makes up 78% of the air. But nitrogen is dramatic and requires a ton of attention before we can actually use it. Plants and animals are unable to take nitrogen directly from the air because it's so unreactive. It's just really stuck together and doesn't want to hang out with anyone else. But there are a few ways that those bonds can be broken, and we can put nitrogen to work. The nitrogen cycle is a biochemical process which transforms the inert nitrogen present in the atmosphere to a more usable form for living organisms. This cycle starts with atmospheric nitrogen snugly bonded together, floating around in the air. This nitrogen can be zapped by the high temperature of a lightning bolt. This can break the bonds of atmospheric nitrogen molecules, allowing now free-floating nitrogen atoms in the air to bond with oxygen. This then dissolves in moisture to form nitrates that are carried to Earth's surface by precipitation. This is called atmospheric fixation. Biological nitrogen fixation occurs when nitrogen is pulled from the air and added to the soil with the help of bacteria. Some plants, such as the good old legumes, which includes clover, peas, and beans, have these nitrogen-fixing bacteria in their root nodules. The bacteria in this symbiotic relationship convert the nitrogen in the atmosphere to ammonia or ammonium, and the ammonium slowly releases into the soil for the plant to use. But most plants are way more picky when it comes to the type of nitrogen they will absorb. A further process known as nitrification is needed to appease the rest of the plants. Let's take a minute to compare a few things to help us understand. The nitrogen cycle so far is a bit complicated, way more complicated than, let's say, the carbon cycle. In the carbon cycle, carbon dioxide in the air is just absorbed by the plants, ready to use to make those sugars. It's just like handing a plant a nice slice of bread to make a wonderful sandwich. I know plants can't eat sandwiches, just go with it. In this analogy, nitrogen in the atmosphere is just like a bunch of unprocessed wheat just floating around. In nitrogen fixation, the converted nitrogen to ammonia is like handing those legumes some flour and saying, "I hope you can make some food out of this." And they're like, "I totally can, thanks." But the rest of the plants just stare at that flour and they're like, "How am I supposed to make a sandwich with that?" But the bacteria friends help them out with a process known as nitrification. Nitrification is the process of converting ammonia into the easily absorbable form of nitrogen, that is nitrates and nitrites. So basically, various species of bacteria consume the atmospheric nitrogen and poop out ammonia. Legumes are loving it, but non-legume plants are like, "I send it back," because it's not ready for them to use. So this ammonia gets eaten by other kinds of bacteria, which poop out nitrate. This is a bit better. Think of the nitrite like bread dough instead of flour. It's still rejected by most plants because who eats bread dough? So this nitrate gets eaten by yet another kind of bacteria, which poops out nitrate. Finally, something most plants can use, like a slice of bread to make the perfect sandwich. Was that a good analogy? Maybe not. Maybe I just want a sandwich. Anyway, all of these forms of nitrogen are available for plants, but nitrate is the easiest for plants to use. If you're still here, liking this video, let us know, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Now that nitrogen is finally ready to use, plants take in these various compounds from the soil with the help of their roots. These compounds are then used in the formation of plant proteins. Plants are primary producers in every ecosystem, the beginning of every food web. So nitrogen has now entered the food web when primary consumers eat the plants. Nitrogen is passed along the food web until eventually the plants and animals die, or get rid of waste, which leads us to the next stop on the nitrogen cycle. Ammonification is the decomposition of proteins of dead plants and animals to ammonia by ammonifying bacteria. When plants or animals die, the nitrogen present in the organic matter is released back into the soil. The decomposers, like bacteria or fungi hanging out in the soil, convert the organic matter back into ammonia, which can either go back to being used by the plant friends or changed into nitrite or nitrate. Or we can complete the cycle. It wouldn't be a cycle if nitrogen couldn't get back to the atmosphere.
This happens through denitrification. Denitrification is the process in which nitrogen compounds make their way back into the atmosphere by converting nitrate into gaseous nitrogen. This final stage occurs in the absence of oxygen. Denitrification is carried out by the denitrifying bacteria that need oxygen, so they process nitrate, use that oxygen, then toss out free nitrogen gas as a byproduct.
Like a leftover banana peel. No biochemical cycle would be complete without looking at how humans have contributed. In the nitrogen cycle, man-made fertilizer has entered the game. This seems like a good idea because plants are able to just slurp up those nitrates without having to wait on the whole bacteria eat poop cycle. But all this loose nitrogen in the soil can get carried away by rainwater and runoff and pollute the water of streams, rivers, lakes, ponds, and even the ocean. This nitrogen can disrupt the ecosystem by creating an algae bloom. This is a bunch of algae growing really, really quickly because it's using up all that nitrogen. Why is a ton of algae a bad thing? Because of something called eutrophication. The algae quickly die, and then other bacteria have to break them down. But through this process, water quality quickly deteriorates because the dissolved oxygen gets used up. Obviously, this oxygen is really important to all living things in that body of water, so it becomes a big mess. Also, emissions from industrial combustion and engines add nitrous oxide to the atmosphere, which dissolves in rainwater, which makes nitric acid, which then adds nitrates to the soils. Here we go again. So hopefully, the next time you have a good sandwich, you'll remember those hardworking bacteria making nitrogen usable for the plant friends. And if you want to learn more science, you can check out this video next. Finally. Was that a good Was that a good analogy? 3.